I laughed. That is the part I have to own before any of the rest of it means anything. The general threw her logbook to Sergeant Pruitt and I laughed with the rest of them. It was 1600 hours at Veldon Station. Mission inspection on the east ramp. 11 of us, standing in kit beside the aircraft, and the general walking the line with that loose-armed stride that meant he had already decided how the afternoon was going to go. She was at the foot of the ramp with a clipboard and a fuel reconciliation form, in a plain flight suit without patches, no rank visible from where I stood. The general stopped in front of her. He looked at the clipboard. He looked at her. He said, "What is this? Depot runner checking my tires?" And Pruitt laughed first, and then the rest of the line went, "Psst," and the general took the logbook out of her hands the way you'd take a toy from a child, and tossed it sideways without looking at where it landed. "Back to stores," he said. "Flight lines for crew." She picked the logbook up off the tarmac. She did not say a word. She walked toward the terminal building at the same pace she'd arrived, and I watched her go, and then I turned back to the pre-flight brief and did not think about her again for the next 4 hours. That was my failure. I want to be precise about what it cost. The mission was a personnel recovery in the Aran corridor, a 6-kilometer mountain slot. GPS denied from the third waypoint on. Because of the jamming array, the opposition had been running out of the valley floor since spring. The corridor was rated for low-altitude night ingress, which in practice meant you needed a specific qualification. Most pilots at Veldon did not hold. Primary, Captain Feld, held it. His backup, Lieutenant Warren, held it. The rest of the rated pilots were forward deployed to Carrick and unavailable. Those were the numbers. I had not done the arithmetic. 40 minutes out, when Feld took a piece of rotor debris from the Scout Bird's mechanical failure, a freak thing, a 1 in 1,000 mechanical failure that nobody planned for and nobody blamed anybody for afterward. He was alive, hands off the controls. He was not flying. Warren moved into the left seat and held the aircraft for 6 minutes before the blast concussion from the valley ridge hit the airframe and his inner ear went entirely. He said so clearly, which is the bravest thing I saw that night, and I do not want to leave it out. He said, "I'm done. I cannot fly this aircraft. I have no horizon." And then the aircraft was level and nobody was flying it, and I was in the back with 9 other men, and we were 41 minutes from home, through terrain that was going to start blocking the GPS signal in the next 8 minutes. Chief Rollo pulled up the crew manifest on the console. He read the names. He said, "Who else on this aircraft is Aran corridor rated?" He answered. He read the names again. He stopped on one of them. He looked at me. "Dylan," he said. "It was a JIX attachment on the manifest, a materiel reconciliation detail from the depot." He turned the screen toward me. "She's got the rating." I remembered the logbook bouncing off the tarmac. I remembered laughing. She was in the rear jump seat, with a fuel form on a kneeboard, sitting the way people sit when they have been told they are cargo, knees together, back straight, watching the mountain fill the windscreen in the fading light. Rollo moved through the cabin toward her. I watched her face when he explained the situation. Feld down, Warren down, the corridor, the timeline. She listened without expression. When he finished, she unclipped her harness, folded the fuel form into a chest pocket, and moved forward to the cockpit without a word to anybody. Buckled into the left seat. She put on the headset. She sat for 3 seconds with her hands on her thighs, not touching the controls, and I do not know what she was doing in those 3 seconds, but whatever it was, she finished it, and then her hands came up and she had the aircraft. "Approach in 7 minutes," she said. No name, no rank, just the fact. What followed I can describe, but I cannot fully explain to someone who has not sat in the back of an aircraft while the person in front of you flies. A GPS-denied mountain corridor on memorized numbers in the dark. She had the chart in her head. Not a printed chart clipped to the yoke. Her head. Altitude calls, heading changes, terrain clearance. All of it verbal and steady. The same tone for a 200-foot correction over a ridge as for a routine waypoint check-in. Warren, still in the right seat with his eyes closed and one hand braced against the panel, read her the radio altimeter when she asked. She asked twice. The second time the ridge came up faster than the chart predicted, because the opposition had been building on the eastern spur, and the terrain had changed, and there was a moment. I felt it in my chest before I understood it. Where the aircraft banked hard left and climbed, and the ridge was. Very close and very dark outside the glass. And then we were over it and she rolled level and said, "Adjusted, 6 minutes to the beacon." The beacon was a handheld strobe in the hands of the 3-man recon element that had been on the valley floor for 9 days and needed to come home. She put the aircraft down on a limestone shelf the size of a tennis court in the dark, in a corridor where the GPS had been dead for 20 minutes. On the numbers she carried in her head from a qualification she had earned and maintained and never once been invited to use at Veldon Station, 8 minutes on the ground. All 3 recon personnel aboard. Feld stable. Warren still down but talking. 11 people going home. She flew the egress without a word that wasn't operationally necessary. The mountain fell away behind us. The GPS came back at waypoint 9. When Veldon's tower gave us the field, she acknowledged with her call sign, drift line, field in sight, and that was the first time I heard it. I looked at Rollo. He had heard it too. The general was on the flight line when we landed. I do not know how he knew, or how long he had been standing there. He was at the foot of the ramp on the east apron. Alone, when she came down with her helmet under her arm. He walked the length of the apron toward her. He stopped 2 paces out. He came to attention. He saluted her, and he held it. She returned it. That was all. I have flown with a lot of pilots. I have sat behind rated aviators in conditions that would make a reasonable person reconsider their choices. I know what it sounds like when someone is performing composure, and I know what it sounds like when the composure is simply what they are. The whole way down. No performance required, nothing underneath it that needs managing. She never raised her voice. She never asked for acknowledgement. The corridor was a problem with a solution, and she had the solution, and she applied it. And when it was done, she folded her fuel form back out of her chest pocket and finished filling it in while she waited for the medical team to reach Feld. What she said at the top of the Arn approach, just before the GPS dropped out, was, waypoint 4. Terrain rises left. Stay with the altimeter. That was for Warren, who was reading instruments with his eyes half closed and his hand flat on the panel. It was a technical instruction, not a speech. She was not talking to me. But I have thought about those 2 sentences more than I have thought about most things a person has said to me directly, because what they meant was, here is where we are, here is what matters. Pay attention to the thing in front of you, not to the logbook on the tarmac, not to the general's laugh, not to 11 years of qualified service logged at a depot window because a brigadier decided at 1600 hours that she looked like cargo. The altimeter, the ridge, what is in front of you right now. I never laughed at a manifest again.